me press the button. So welcome everybody to our March Masterclass from the New Zealand Messy Church team, which is me, Jocelyn, Alex and Carol are here tonight. And Angela is the other member of our team, but she's with her daughter in hospital today. So welcome from all of us. Hope you are having a good night, and we hope you enjoy what we're able to present today. We've got three themes going on today. We are doing Feeding the Troops, the Last Supper, and Easter ideas. So hopefully they are ones that will be relevant for you in this season. They're all in response to some questions that we've had. So if there's anything that you want to know about, feel free to contact us and we will help you however we can. Or maybe be able to do a topic later in the year as well. These sessions are recorded, so if there's anyone else that I haven't given this warning to, you can turn your video off if you would like to. And also, if you know of anybody that would like to see this session later, you feel free to share the link to our YouTube page, which is only just created, and we're just starting to build the content on there as well. So our training goals are to provide a masterclass once a term, responding to your topics that you want to learn more about, and hopefully they're relevant to what you are doing. But we do have a great big thing coming up, and that is, so yes, welcome. Let me just get myself down to, so this is our channel, so head to YouTube for Messy Church NZ, and you'll be able to get all the further past masterclasses on there, and we're uploading more material as we go. So coming up, Jocelyn, all yours.
Okay, so hopefully you've all heard about our Messy Church training road trip that we're doing in May, and we're very privileged to have Dr. Dave Gregory from the UK, who is the Baptist Missioner for Science and the Environment, and a great supporter of Messy Church, and he has helped to edit the book Messy Church Does Science, and he's always encouraging us to explore faith and science together. So he's really good value. You'll learn about doing faith and science experiments in your Messy Church and all of that. And then we also have Reverend Greg Ross, who's from the Western Australia, and he is the Western Australia Regional Messy Church Coordinator and representative on the Australian wide national Messy Church team. So they both have a huge amount to offer. So we decided that we wanted to bring a road trip to Messy churches around New Zealand, as a way of encouraging everybody and getting Messy Church back on track after having, after COVID and after cyclones and various other things that have happened around the motu. So this is something that we hope will be a blessing to you all. So we are going to go to Auckland. Tuesday the 14th of May we'll be in Auckland, and we have day training from 9:30 to 4 o'clock. Registrations are at 9:30. We start at 10. And that will be at the Church of the Saviour, where Claire is. And Claire is your Messy Church encourager for that area. So you can contact Claire for any queries, or if you get lost or anything like that. You can register for these masterclasses online on the Messy Church website. If you have any trouble, just contact one of us. Next stop is Putaro in the Waikato and Bay of Plenty. Again, another day training there with the lovely Mary Addison, who some of you have met online, and a similar program again there at Putaro. So hopefully that will be suitable for people in the Bay of Plenty, Waikato region, Coromandel, all around that area. Next stop will be Hawke's Bay. Hawke's Bay was almost our inspiration for wanting to do this, because having been hit so badly by the Cyclone Gabriel last year, and they've got 5 or 6 messy churches down there, and they'd also suffered during COVID and lost volunteers. So we really wanted to bring a blessing of hope to them. So Saturday the 18th in Hawke's Bay, and there we're also doing a Messy Church. So we'll be doing a day training plus a Messy Church for the wider community. If you feel like travelling to Hawke's Bay, you're most welcome to come to that. There will be a Friday night meet and greet if you do travel and stay overnight. That will be open to you as well. Next stop is Wellington. And we, the team actually had a retreat there last year and a meeting, and we just decided we had to include the Home of Compassion, Island Bay, as part of this road trip, because it's such a beautiful place to hold a retreat and to hold some trainings. So we decided that we would do from Monday at 1 o'clock, although you can come in earlier and bring your lunch and eat it if you like and register. Monday from 1 o'clock through to Tuesday midday, we're going to do an overnight retreat and trainings. So that will be a special event. There's extra costs there, of course, because there's rooms, accommodation, and there are rooms that you can book into. If you live locally or you have a friend nearby, you're welcome to stay off-site. But in terms of having been part of the retreat with Greg and Dave, I think you'll find it a real blessing to stay overnight. So next stop, same day, but that evening, so Tuesday night, the team is flying, after the morning session, we're flying direct to Blenheim, and we're going to be holding just a Messy Basics in Blenheim from 6 to 8:30 at night, and just, basically just going over Messy Basics. So that's a much shorter one, but that's what the people there requested. Next stop, following day, Wednesday the 15th. Oh, no, that's not Wednesday the 15th of May. That's... Sorry, can you go back one, Claire? Okay, so it'll be Wednesday the 22nd of May. So Nelson will be driving from Blenheim to Nelson on Wednesday morning, and we'll be doing an afternoon training in Nelson, and from 1 o'clock until 5:30. And that's at the Richmond Baptist Church. So, we're looking forward to being there. Then, very early the next morning, we get on a plane at 6 o'clock, I think. Did I tell you that, Claire? At 6 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. And we fly to Cromwell. And, well, we fly to Queenstown, and then we have to drive to Cromwell. So we're going to do an evening on Thursday night. Oh, again, I've got the dates wrong. Right. Gee, okay. So Thursday, Friday, so that's what, 23rd and 24th, I think, of May. And so we're splitting it between the evening on the Thursday and 2 o'clock on Friday, and that enables people in the south, where the roads are often icy, to travel in good daylight hours and have an overnight stop. And then our last stop, and again, we'd really appreciate your prayers, because we'll be flying from Queenstown to Christchurch early Saturday morning and starting our last training in Christchurch on Saturday the 25th of May, and registrations at 9:30 and start at 10 o'clock and go through till 4. So you can see we've got a really, really busy schedule with Greg and Dave, and but it's going to be a real blessing. But what we really would appreciate if you spread the word, if you've got friends in the South Island or friends in places we've mentioned, let them know it's happening and encourage them to register. And you can register on our messychurch.new Zealand website. Go to training in the headlines, I suppose, the bar at the top. Go to training, go to road trip. And when you come onto the road trip page, there's a red box that says register. So click on that and that will guide you through the registration process. As I say, if you have any problems at all, just feel free to contact us. And you should all have my email at least. But we all have an email. So mine is Jocelyn@messychurch.nz, and Claire's is Claire@messychurch.nz, and same for Carol, etc. Okay, and there is also a way to contact us on the website.
I worked out it's about 70 sleeps coming.
Oh, my goodness. And probably not many sleeps actually on the road.
Going to be fantastic. Looking forward to it.
It will be brilliant. Okay, I think Alex and I are going to swap seats now.
Yep.
They've got better internet in one room, so just hold off while they move for just a moment. We're going to invite Alex to come and give us our devotion for the day, just as we get started on our content. So I'll just let them switch rooms. When you're ready, Alex.
Hi everyone, hope you can hear me okay. I've selected a bit of a reflection and using a reading from John chapter 21, 15 to 17. It combines the themes of hospitality and Easter, which we're looking at with this masterclass. I'll just read the reading. When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," he said, "you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Again, Jesus said, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He answered, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep." The third time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time, "Do you love me?" He said, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." Just exploring the context of that, the crucifixion of Jesus was in the past. The resurrected Jesus had already made several dramatic appearances to his disciples. John records this appearance as the third, and it happened as the disciples had gone back to their old ways. Peter, gone back to his fishing, along with his former fishing partners, James and John, and some others. The night expedition had been a failure with no fish caught until Jesus showed up at dawn and told them to put the net in once more on the right side. This was an imitation of a previous event with the same group, but recorded in Luke chapter 5. In doing this, I believe Jesus was reminding Peter and the group of their first call, which was away from fishing for fish to fishing for people, as recorded in Luke 5 verse 10. From now on, you will fish for people. But here they are, back out fishing for fish. When they came ashore with their huge haul, Jesus already had breakfast going, including bread and fish. After the group had eaten, Jesus spoke directly to Peter, challenging him about his love for Jesus 3 times. When Peter affirmed his love, Jesus gave him 3 tasks: feed my lambs, take care of my sheep, feed my sheep. The threefold nature of this challenge and commissioning is intentional, not accidental. When Jesus asked them to cast their nets again, the group were being reminded of how they had fallen short of their first calling. Now Peter is being reminded, before the others, publicly in other words, of his threefold denial of Jesus and the events leading up to Jesus' crucifixion, as recorded in Luke 22 and John 18. This threefold denial, when considered in the light of the undeniable resurrection of Jesus, meant a significant loss of mana, or of a loss of face, or a loss of esteem for Peter. He was the designated leader of the group, and the history of his denial was a severe impairment to his ability to lead. So Jesus, in this conversation, gives Peter the opportunity to affirm his devotion to Jesus once again, and to be restored in his mana by his commissioning to nurture and shepherd the flock of Jesus. Peter, as the leader of the early church, received this commissioning not for himself alone, but for the whole church and on all who lead God's church, including us in Messy Church. The task given to Peter and to us is both a spiritual task and a practical task. Feeding the lambs and feeding the sheep means ensuring people's physical needs are met, as well as their spiritual needs. One of our Messy Church values is hospitality, which includes provision of food in a welcoming, joyous, and generous context. Food is more than just sustenance, more than just nutrition for the body. It is also essential for building relationships in community. When groups share food together, they become deeply bonded with one another, and in the context of Christian community, deeply bonded with God. Sharing a fish burger is just as holy a communion as sharing bread and wine. I just offer a prayer. Gracious God, we thank you for the gift of Jesus and his teaching about hospitality and his sharing of bread and wine and bread and sardines or whatever it was. Help us as Messy Church leaders to continue this heritage which we have received from Jesus of hospitality and openness and generosity towards our communities of faith. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Thank you. God bless you. God bless us as we learn from one another.
As we've been aware when we've been prepping these masterclasses, there's sometimes some new people watching the recording when we do this each time. So we wanted to do a bit of a basic 2-minute, what is Messy Church? So Messy Church is a relaxed style of church suitable for all ages. Its values are to be Christ-centered and being intergenerational or all-aged. And it's based on creativity, hospitality, and celebration. Messy Church acknowledges that we are all messy, that no one is perfect, and that we all function in a messy world. But that God is in that mess, and we aren't alone. Messy Church is primarily for people who don't already belong to a church. It's aimed to introduce Jesus and to allow them to grow closer to him. It meets at a time and sometimes at a place that suits people who don't already belong to a church. Most Messy churches meet once a month, but some meet more frequently and some meet once a term. It includes a welcome, a creative time to explore the biblical theme, through Getting Messy. A celebration time, often involving a story, a prayer, song, and then ending with a shared meal, or a different order. It's all different in different contexts. All elements are and should include people of all ages, so adults and children. Although we're often providing a safe place for families to meet, we need to be welcoming of all ages to our Messy Church family. There are some Messy Church isms, but check out the Messy Church New Zealand website, which is messychurch.nz, if you would like to read some of those. So as I said earlier, our themes for today are feeding the troops, the Last Supper, and some Easter ideas. So our first person is, I'll put you both names there. The presentation is actually by Angela, our other national member, but she can't be here. So Jocelyn is going to be sharing this for us, which is a bit tricky, but anyway, we're going to give it a crack. Here we go.
Okay, yes, so bear with me because Angela put this together and I'm going to do the best to share it with you. So feeding the troops. So Angela is based at St Barnabas, Fendleton in Christchurch, and they've been running Messy Church for 11 years down there. They do a lot of their preparation on the Thursday and Friday with crock pot and roasting dish size meals prepared early beforehand. And then they have their Messy Church on Saturday afternoon. Angela's husband, Greg, is the one who does most of the catering. So they're a good team down there. They cater for 40 to 100 people. They have lots of good news stories. Community folk come for food and bring their extended family. Parents are excited to see their children trying new foods. Families tell them how sitting at the table to eat, that they're now sitting at the table to eat at home. I think we underestimate the power of that because for so many families today, actually taking time to sit around the table and eat and have conversation is often something that doesn't happen now at home. And there was something on TV this morning just talking about how the number of talking hours within a family has gone down by thousands of hours over a year because members of the family are on screens and whatever. So the actual talking to each other doesn't happen a lot. So what we model at Messy Church, sitting around a table and eating together, is really important. And it's what Jesus modeled all those years ago. So modeling of table manners, also helping folk. People who live alone enjoy eating with others. They say that they feel that they belong. Encourage church helpers, clergy and families to sit with new and with the community people. So, you know, it's good if we as leaders can scatter ourselves around the tables and have conversations with people. Parishioners love to help and give financially to support outreach. And we know that for a lot of people, a lot of churches now funding meals at Messy Church or funding Messy Church full stop is quite an issue. So we should be prepared to ask and, you know, if you don't ask, you don't receive. And so often there are people out there who are really willing to support Messy Church financially, especially if they're unable to support it in any other way. And another blessing or good news story for them is that the teens helping are building connections with all ages, and they're being big buddies at meal times too. So some top tips on food. So that they in Christchurch do this. They prepare 2 large hot pot meals pre-prepared, 2 large roasting dishes pre-prepared, 2 large rice cookers at each Messy Church. Rice is amazing, isn't it? It goes such a long way. They have 2 options of meat. That's very generous because a lot of us will only ever have 1 option of meat, but they have 2. 1 option of gluten-free, 1 of vegetarian, and 1 of vegan-friendly food. For dessert, they have ice cream in a cone for every Messy Church. That's a lot of ice cream cones to make. So having done that in the past, we know that's quite a lot of work, but obviously it works for them. And they often have a food activity, which is another dessert. So that I don't know what that is, but I'm guessing it might be an iced biscuit or something similar. They buy their meat on special at Pack and Save or West Meats. That might be a Christchurch thing. Is West Meats around the Motu? No. Yeah. And they aim to buy all ingredients on special and store. So I guess when they're on special, they buy them and put them in storage. List of contents and ingredients held by head cook for parents to check. So that's a good idea. Next slide. So their menu favourites are cottage pie, or some of us might call that shepherd's pie.
Shepherd's pie is lamb.
What's that?
Shepherd's pie is lamb, isn't it?
Yeah, shepherd's pie is lamb and minces. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So being vegetarian, I'm not up with that anymore. Mince with mashed potato and cheese, plus cheese on top. Mince with tinned tomatoes, chili beans, corn chips, grated cheese and sour cream. And that can be a really good vegetarian option if you take the mince out and, you've got your chili beans for protein. Chicken and chili bean, mixed vegetables, cream cheese served with rice. Chicken and bacon, mixed vegetables, cream cheese served with rice. Butter chicken, mixed vegetables served with rice. Deviled sausages, mixed vegetables served with rice. Roast vegetables and Barker's vegan sauce. I haven't come across that, but is anyone else? Barker's vegan sauce? I'm not sure quite what that is. And chicken drumsticks, mashed potato and mixed vegetables. We used to do for some of ours would be like a really large roasting pan full of pasta bake or something like that as an option too. Pasta is often a good economical food to serve. Please chip in if you've got ideas of something that springs to mind that you do that you think is a really good thing to share. I heard Claire talking earlier about doing a couscous salad, and when we used to feed the troops at the Anglican Supergroup at Parachute Festival, which could be up to 300 people, Alex would often make a huge couscous salad to go with our barbecued food.
Hamburgers are another one that goes down really well because you can put in whatever you like into your hamburger. So that seems to suit a lot of our families. We can shop at Gilmore's, which is a bulk store nearby, and get bulk meatballs already prepared and bulk falafels already prepared. And then we use that as a meal one day with just another crock pot of pasta sauce or something.
Brilliant. Well, that's good.
Messiest meal we've ever done, though, is spaghetti bolognese.
And did it go down well?
It was a whole thing to clean up.
Okay, next slide. So budget and funding, just bearing in mind this is Christchurch and you might do things differently, but for their church budget, $260 per Messy Church for the food, and church budget for activities is $210. Budget $140 of donations per Messy Church. So what they do is they suggest a donation of $5 a family. Some Messy churches do this, some don't. But donations are fine if you want, or a koha if you want to have that at your front door, on your welcome desk when people arrive or whatever. But we don't recommend charging for this because it is church. And like Alex mentioned before, you know, even when we share fish burgers around the table, we're in communion with one another at Messy Church. So we don't want to charge, and charging can also, Alex mentioned earlier too today, incur all sorts of other
Yeah.
things with it.
Could I just say a word or two about that? There are problems around charging. One of them is that, particularly for a meal, you then become liable to legally being responsible for preparing the food in a health department certified kitchen, commercial kitchen, and all your food preparation and so on comes under health regulations. And also a charge means that you need to incorporate GST into that. So there are tax implications and health department implications. Obviously, we want to ensure that the food is cleanly and well prepared and served, but coming under regulations is a whole different ballgame. So be careful about charging. I know that recovering costs is important, but I believe that we can do this through creating opportunities for a little bit of teaching about stewardship and also an encouragement to give an offering. Quite simple, really. And inviting supporters and others who might want to partner with us to donate either money or food for preparation, you know, a bag of potatoes or something.
And when we lived in Rotorua, where Alex was vicar, and we used to run Messy Church there, we used to have just a simple cardboard box covered in coloured paper with Messy Church donations on it that sat at the back of church all year round, basically. And people from the congregation could put into that any donations of supplies. So whether it be tins of food or whether it be obviously non-perishable, unless they're going to give them to us to put in the freezer or whatever, but also things for activities such as paper and pens and pencils. And it's amazing what people clean out of their cupboards and want to donate to Messy Church. We had all sorts of things, bags of wool, all sorts. So just a good little thing to do is to have at the back of your church for people who'd like to donate things. And you'll probably have a code for your Messy Church budget if people want to donate money direct by internet banking or whatever. So back to Christchurch, they cater for 40 to 100 people. Last year they averaged at 68 for dinner. Average cost to the parish of each Messy Church last year was $314. So that was food and activity supplies. Some food and activity supplies were donated. Some parishioners give to fund each Messy Church or one once a year. So, you know, even having the opportunity to get up at perhaps your more regular church service and just talk a little bit about Messy Church and how people could help by giving donations or art supplies or whatever, is well worth doing.
Can I just ask, she's once term, isn't she?
Oh, I think they are more regular.
Right.
But I might be wrong.
I can't
Maybe
quite
it's
remember.
twice a term. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Like every 6 weeks or something like that.
Some Messy churches hold Messy Church monthly, some do it 6 weekly, some do it once a term. Yeah, it's really what works for you as a church and for your volunteers, because we don't want to wear people out, and it's doing what you're able to do. Okay, so set up and serving tips. So they have 6 to 8 trestle adult-sized tables that seat 8 people. They also have 2 sets of low tables which seat 10 children. Now, they obviously do it a wee bit differently, but we try, I think most of us try to have all ages at all tables, so not to have a separate space for children. Because we are an intergenerational church as Messy Church, and the conversations between generations are really valuable, and around the table is such a good time to model that. They have tablecloths and cutlery set up before Messy Church starts in a separate room and brought through after the celebration. Just a wee word on tablecloths. If you can avoid those plastic cloths, you know, the plastic disposable ones, we'd recommend you do that, because we are trying to be more sustainable in what we do in Messy Church. If you've got plain clean tables that are easy to wash down, then just use the tabletops, that's fine. Or you could do, you can get a very heavy sort of vinyl from some of the, in Rotorua it was the Emporium shop that sold meters of this vinyl stuff that you can have cut to size for your tables, and it wipes down really easily. You can dry it and put it away, and we used that for years. It was great. So, you know, in terms of keeping things simple and not overworking people, if you can avoid having to wash tablecloths, because that's not great for the environment either, and it's not great for the workload in terms of washing and ironing. My pet hate is ironing tablecloths. You can see I'm a retired vicar's wife. Serve food from kitchen counter, and they have 3 servers and 2 dishwashers. I don't know if that means dishwasher machines or dishwasher. I'm not sure. Often it's a good idea to have more than one serving point, because otherwise you can have, if you've got 100 people, by the time 99 and 100 come along to get their meal, the others are ready to you know, eat their dessert, or they've finished their dessert and ready to go home. So the more serving points that you can have for the food, and the more people serving food, the better, so that we all sit down together to eat the main meal, and then we all get the chance to go up together to get dessert. And then at the end, which is a great thing to do, is to say the Messy Church grace before everyone goes home. So just think about how you can manage the numbers needing to be served meals. They have a separate table for water jugs and for cups. They encourage parents with young children to go first. You might also want to encourage elderly people who might struggle with meals or whatever, or may even want to serve food for elderly people who struggle to move around too much. And they have ice cream containers with lids for leftovers. Great idea. And often the leftovers are given away. But also it can be good to have a table for where people can place their used plates afterwards. And if you have a nice big bowl of soapy water, you can leave knives and forks. Everyone can be encouraged to put their knives and forks in that, and that there can be a bucket for scraps as well to feed the pigs or whatever. Next slide. So blessings, some of the blessings for them. Leftover food goes home with kitchen helpers, single clergy, single adults and families in need. When we were in Rotorua, we used to often have the homeless people lining up for any leftovers if they hadn't been in to share the meal. There's always someone to give leftovers to. Table talk cards encourage people who don't know each other to share the best thing from the day and ideas on how to take the message into the week ahead. So for those of you who use the Get Messy magazines and follow the sessions that they outline in those, and I do recommend those, and it's not just people from the UK who write for them. Alex and I have written for them. People all around the world contribute to those sessions and put a lot of thought and prayer into them. But in those magazines and the sessions that are provided, there are always suggestions for meal cards. So questions or whatever to have on the table to encourage discussion with people around you about what you've been learning at Messy Church or whatever, and how you might take that message into the week ahead. And they also did Christmas table talk cards, and on those last year they had ideas for 2024. So I guess people were able to, because they talk about having pens and paper there, people were probably able to give suggestions about what they'd like for 2024. And one of their special blessings is a 90-year-old helper in the kitchen who loves seeing the faces of children and families. And that definitely is one of the very wonderful blessings of Messy Church, is creating this intergenerational church for people to come to and feel welcome at. And Angela and Greg are very happy to share recipes with you. So they're available from them, and that's their email address there. And a wee suggestion we had at the last last masterclass, which was only at 1 o'clock today, was that you might have special recipes for bulk amounts that you use at Messy Church that you might like to share with us. And something we would really like to do, probably once we have recovered from running the road trip, but something we would love to do is put together a New Zealand recipe book of favourite recipes that are used at Messy Church. And I'm sure you or your cooks will have some of those. You might even want to just make suggestions now, and you're welcome to do that. But we would love to hear from you.
If anybody has some really great meal ideas that sort of jump out as you've heard some of that, we'd love to hear it. We'll give you a moment.
Just the only one thing, I don't have a recipe per se, but for the desserts, we always just offered ice cream in a cone, and I would get the teenagers to do the serving of that. So that always went really, really well. So it engaged the teenagers, and it was simple food. Yeah.
That's a good idea, getting the teenagers to do it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Because they often end up working in shops where they do that anyway. So it's good.
That's right.
It could be good for their CV to say,
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
made 100 ice cream cones at Messy Church.
Yeah, gives them lots of skills doing that, and just the pleasure of being able to be involved and to have a, to be a part of it.
Serving others.
Yeah, serving others as well. Yeah.
thank you, Jocelyn, for sharing that with us. And thank you also to Angela for putting that together and just sharing what her context looks like. We all do things slightly differently, so we can always get ideas from other people as well. So the second part of our session tonight is Carol's going to share on the Last Supper.
Hi, I'm Carol Lewis, and I'm based here on the Kapiti Coast. I forgot to share that at lunchtime, but I have been involved in Messy Church for at least 10 or 12 years. I've lost track now, but was involved in a team running Messy Churches until 2020, when I had to hand that over because of my husband's health. So I've remained passionate about Messy Church, and one way I can be involved is to be part of the team and supporting others in their leadership and their ideas. And I also hold the library here, so Claire will talk a little about that later towards the end. But right now, I've just grabbed, or earlier a week or two ago, I grabbed a book by Martin Payne, who is one of the members of the UK support team, and this book he's written on messy togetherness. So I've based some of his thoughts and thinking on the Last Supper and the importance of sharing a meal together in Messy Church. So Martin in this book, and also Alex made reference to it as well, he speaks of food being a symbol of togetherness. Food brings us closer as a family and as a church. We have an identity because we are together, just as was mentioned earlier about that sense of belonging. We're part of something more, and that's really, really important. The meal offers a chance to share in other celebrations, birthdays, conversations, and exploring and nourishing our faith, as we've talked earlier about using the cards, the table cards, and so on. And this is why Martin is very clear on this. This is really, really why it's important to have meals as part of the Messy Church way, because it is such a significant area of faith development, really. Martin often speaks of the importance of Jesus being present at every table space. Jocelyn, you make reference to this quite often as well at Messy Church, but be it in the craft or the game space, or the hospitality at the door, or in the kitchen, or during the celebration meal. It's just about being aware of Christ's presence in all that we do, and just being aware of that. As far as food and communion, or the Last Supper, and what's in the Bible about all that, there are many examples in the Bible of shared meals, from Zacchaeus, where Jesus says to Zacchaeus, "I'm coming to your place," or the story of Mary and Martha, and how they their story about sharing a meal with Jesus, feeding the 5,000, and the other story of the 10,000, and even the story on the road to Emmaus, where Jesus is present, eating or breaking bread with his friends and followers, and not forgetting, obviously, the Last Supper with Jesus and his disciples the night before his arrest. So lots of examples of the importance of gathering around food. It was in the concept of a shared meal that the first Christians included the service of bread and wine. So there is a real parallel with our Messy Church meals, as I've just explained. That was a quote from Martin. And Martin writes also that if we begin to move towards an understanding of the messy meal as sacramental, I think it would help us all to see unmissable value of this part of the church. And I've already kind of covered that. Thing to think about too, though, is that Messy Church, being an interdenominational movement, allows for openness of sacrament and Eucharistic celebration. So there is plenty of flexibility in how this may be included. Some Messy churches share bread and wine regularly before the meal, or sometimes as part of the meal. Others find the richness of the messy meals bringing plenty of opportunity, as Alex talked about the fish burgers and so on. That time is equally a valuable time of the remembering. And in Jesus' words, "Whenever you do this, remember me," in remembering Jesus' love and sacrifice that he gave for us all. breaking of bread and drinking wine or juice in some contexts as part of a Holy Communion is one of the ways we express our shared togetherness as Christians and share the special meal to remember Jesus and to remember that we are all one because of faith and Christ's love for us when he died on the cross. In 2016, I was fortunate enough to attend the International Messy Church Conference in the UK, where I met Martin and heard of his passion for the blessings that come when generations explore faith together. The Last Supper was the theme of the final day of the conference, so I'd like to share an account to you from the Bible of the Last Supper. It comes from Matthew 26, 24 to 28, the New International Version. While they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take and eat, this is my body." Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." So that's the invitation to share in Christ's story, to share together, to be one in Christ. And the next photos that Claire's going to run through for me, these are some of the examples of the activities that they had at this international conference. The first one there it's the Passover meal, and it says, "Welcome to the table that reminds us of the great rescue." The rescue being the story in Exodus where the Israelites were saved, and that links directly through the blood of Christ and the blood of the Lamb and all those things. So you'll find that story in Exodus. It is also understood that the Last Supper took place during the Passover season, which is the time that the Jewish people remembered the Exodus story. So that's the connection as well, historically. And there on that table they had questions like what do all the different foods mean, and they did all have a particular meaning. You can search and look that up under the Seder meal or Passover meal if you were looking at including that in any of your sessions at any point. What do they taste like? So again, it's tapping into the multi-senses, all your senses. It helps to learn and engage in stories. The next one, Claire, is the bread. This one they're using, it's just using glue and getting people to write the words on glue. What does what sums up communion for you? So that's using the bread, and so but they sprinkle the breadcrumbs over the glue on the words, writing words on the card. As you can see, Jesus, love, family, a whole variety of things. So that was another one. And then the next one is wine, and I can't quite, have I got it written down there? I think I've missed writing down what that was. But again, there was an activity there about the importance of wine and serving as well. So there's lots of different ways. The next one, a meal of brokenness, and I really love this, turning broken pieces into something beautiful. Why is brokenness such an important part of being a Christian? Those sort of questions that keep people talking. So as you can see, there was lots and lots of people, probably I think around about 300 people there, but we were all engaging in different tables, doing a variety of things there. I loved that one, but I decided I couldn't make one to bring home because I didn't think I'd get it through customs with all that clay and mud. So I just took photos. And the next one was an activity around, I've lost my page, around the meal of equality. About often when you go to a meal or in some situations, the important people get to sit in special particular places or seats, whereas at Jesus' table there is no special seat. Everybody is there together as one. And yeah, so that was that one. And then the next one was edible, the meal of love. And so it was about making an edible picture of the Last Supper, using sticks to make the table, then using grapes to be the heads of Jesus and the disciples around it. Talk about the way Jesus gave his disciples as a special meal to remind them of always how much he loved them. So you can be as creative as you like, but these were the samples I had. And then the last one that I'll talk directly to is this one here, which we actually built the table to share the meal, and that was great. There was big hammers and saws making noises in the corner, and it was just fabulous. And to see the woman there hammering away, I don't think she'd ever held a hammer in her life, so it was really good to be engaging with a variety of people, young and old, although admittedly there weren't children there because it was a conference, not a Messy Church occasion. It was conference and learning, so there was teenagers right through to people well into their 80s. And yeah, so that was really special. And then there's the table set for the serving, and you'll see in the bottom left corner there Lucy. She was a significant part of that conference. And also I realized this afternoon as well, Greg was actually there too, so he will have some memories of that event as well. So Greg Ross from Australia. So yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit of those visuals, and just help make sense of how the Last Supper connects into Messy Church, and the hospitality and the togetherness and the love of Christ all being one. Yeah.
Thanks, Carol. Our last topic for tonight is Easter ideas. Introducing myself, I've been doing Messy Church now for 9 years as a team leader in Auckland. I've been involved in ministry with children and families for about 19 years now. I had to sit down and work that one out. And it's still fun, so it's all good. So I've got some different ideas and things. We do our Messy Church Easter on Good Friday morning. So it's out of the pattern of the normal afternoon ones on Saturdays. So we do it slightly different than we would a normal Messy Church, being at a different time as well. We also get a few more visitors come in, which is fantastic, and it's good to be able to offer the entire Easter story. We warn people that might be coming in on Good Friday wanting meditation that this is not it. And so they can then come and hear the entire story together, as this might be the only time we connect with those Messy Church families. So I've divided this up into different sections like we would for a Messy Church. So my first one is crafts and activities. We love food crafts. It's something that we get kids running. They know where it's going to be. They run to that one first. So everyone's done a little resurrection stone cookie at some point, I'm sure. The other one is rice bubble mix made into a tomb and stone. You can chuck some Lego in there if you want to. But the craft, or the food craft that has been the most popular in all the time I have done Messy Church, is donkey poo. It's using the same mix, the cocoa rice bubble mix, and shaped into poo. And that one has been the most popular in all the years I have done Messy Church. Tip, don't do it too early, otherwise it sets and they can't actually form it, and it doesn't have as much fun. This is also another very, very popular one we did, which is exploding eggs. At the time we were using Aspro Clear, which is fizzy and it makes it expand and pop. These days I would be using something like a vitamin, a fizzy vitamin, rather than Aspro Clear. They were well supervised. But we did it so that they did the inside, took it outside, and it popped outside, so it didn't make too much of a mess inside. But this one was incredibly popular, and these eggs you can get at Spotlight. They can be used for other things as well. Different ways of doing things. Some contexts don't do food crafts, but this is one that I've had on my list that I've never done, and I've always meant to. Because we do Good Friday, sometimes we don't do so much on Palm Sunday, but if yours is a different time of the month before Easter, this one may be helpful. So it's palm trees, signifying the palms from Palm Sunday. So it's a good way of using some nice healthy food there to make a palm tree. Couple here. The one on the top is a handprint. We pre-do those handprints so they dry, so that all they need to do is then do the fingerprint for the red on the middle of the hand, which if you do two, you can actually make a heart out of the two. In the Messy Church context, you could get messy and you could do the paint handprint at the same time. It just depends how much tarts you've got. The one on the right is salt. So you paint on and put the salt onto the PVA. You do whatever shape you like. We do it beforehand so that you are just putting the food colouring on the dried salt. And that works very well. It spreads out and goes over all the salt. Pity I've put the picture with only one colour, but you can do it with lots of different colours, and it sometimes looks like fireworks. Quite cool.
Claire, I wonder too, it just struck me after you had said that you could use the salt, and you know how you have the large chalk. What I have done is I've grated the chalk into the salt and creates the colours. So you could then just do the salt and the colour all at the same time.
That'd be fantastic.
Another option as well.
That'd be great, yeah. The one at the bottom is spice painting. So when we're talking about involving different types of senses, this one smells amazing. So you mix up a paste with the spices and then you can paint with them. It can be any sort of painting and just let them go wild with the different colours. But when we're thinking about, it smells amazing. So what other smells and things could be involved in when you're thinking about Easter? Could you be holding nails for touch? What can you hear? Can you involve some different ways that you can involve hearing? What would you be hearing through the Easter story? So there's different ways involving different senses. This one is, you don't always have to make something to take something home. Sometimes you can actually just do things there and it's just as important of an activity. The one on the top is, for this one, it was forming a heart out of some of the things from nature. But coming up to Easter, it may be crown of thorns. It could be using different things to make that sort of symbolism. In the middle is from sun hats and whirly boots. You make the frame and then you take it home, and you can use that to take photos of nature and what you can see through that frame. It can be lots of things that could be used for, and it could also then be used in places, and it could actually be part of a family's adventure on where they can take this thing and where they could take photos or what they could take photos of through it. One at the bottom is cups that they throw ping pong balls into. It was a form of a cross, and there was a cue for that one, and it was very messy and it was very loud. So don't put that somewhere where you've got a quiet meditation. And on the right is, we were gluing bits and pieces onto an egg shape. These actually dried up really well, and I've actually seen some displayed in someone's home that still had the bits of the flowers and the leaves and everything all together. So that symbol of new life with that greenery on there was actually quite effective, and they really did enjoy that. This is from Sun Hats and Willy Boots as well. It's actually an outdoor Easter trail called Dottie's Donkey. We did this last year. It has about 10 different sheets that we actually just printed, laminated, and stapled onto stakes and put them out and about outside our church. So it was really interesting to see people that were just walking past, reading them as they went. They're very nice, simple things to do, like put some twigs into the sign of a cross and other bits and pieces. So that's one that I highly recommend as well. She also does a Christmas one as well. That was also very good. Different ways that you can give opportunity to explore the Easter story. It's a great story. We should be exploring it. So here's Lego. So we often have a Lego activity out. It's a great way to sit around the table and chat, tell the story together in a way that people, we've got a lot of really keen Lego kids. So it's a way that they do like to express themselves. Celebration ideas. Often we get to Easter and we think, how are we going to do it different this year? It can be a constant challenge. A couple of ideas. First of all, I highly recommend the Get Messy material. I use it. I will basically run about I'll do about 8 of the 10 activities straight out of it. I often run the celebration almost straight out of it. The table talks in there. There's a social justice idea to go home with. There's a take-home thing to go home with. There's a devotion for the team to go through if that's how your team rolls, or it's something for you to prepare if you're the one that's doing everything. But whatever or however your team functions, it's a great thing to start with, and I highly do recommend it. But there's also a huge archive of old Get Messy material. So if you're wanting, this Easter story wasn't quite right for your context this year, you can actually go back and get old Get Messy material as well, or talk to your local encourager. They might have some ideas for you too. They're very well priced as well and easy to get. They're all PDFs online. But some ideas I crowdsourced, and I asked some of my friends who are in children's ministry or in ministry what some ideas they had for Easter. Best one is resurrection eggs. We've done that a few times over the years. I do it with about 6, 7, sometimes I go up to 10 eggs where I number them and I hide them. And inside they've got little symbols that you can get them found, line them up and tell the story. Last one, of course, being empty. So you can do dice, you can do nails, you can do part of different symbols of the story. Top tip, write down where you've hid them, because there's always one that is really hard to find that holds up your whole session. So write down where you hid them is a very good idea. I had a friend who also sent through this one where they actually went round and they ticked off when they found each one around the room. So it was a different way of doing those same symbols. Friend sent me this one. It's from the Scripture Union book Easter Cracked, but it would be easy to replicate in another way. It's blown up quite big up into your celebration space, into different puzzle pieces, and then it's covered over with another set of puzzle pieces. She did it in black, and then across that she then had the verse that was the focus for that particular theme. And so as she tells the story, she pulls off the black piece and the coloured one is behind it. Someone had coloured it in for her, and she slowly tells the story on that theme. And that's one way to share the Easter theme. This book is out of print, but this is something that would be fairly simple to actually be able to find some pictures on Google and be able to replicate this as well. Prayer, different ways of doing prayer. The one at the top is hearts. They're just hearts, and then we've cut them. And then to link them up, we just sellotape them back together again. So the prayers are written around the heart, and then they're linked together. And that actually stayed over our altar for several weeks over the Easter season, so that the different services could also see these prayers that were done by Messy Church at Easter. The one on the bottom, that was our last year, and it is writing our prayers on our heart, bringing our heart to the cross, and then pinning it on with pins. And then we stood it up, and we used that during the Easter season as well. So it's an easy way for all ages to be able to contribute to that prayer time. This one here with the butterflies, it's not one that I've done. I've Googled that one. But if butterflies is a good way or a good symbol for you, or maybe it's a theme for a year for you to celebrate Easter, then that is a way that you can actually then put all those prayers together and they can be seen during that Easter season as well. This was one we did a few years ago. We covered the cross in the gold foil, and then we stuck on with sellotape all the happy face joys. This theme that year was Easter joy. Then we covered it all in black paper, and during our Easter celebration, we all came up and had a turn at ripping the black paper off a piece of the cross, uncovering the Easter joy underneath. So the black representing things that we've done wrong, our sins, and that was a way that all ages could actually take part in that as well. So then they took off a Easter joy to take back to their seat with them. What I hadn't anticipated until I turned around, everyone had stuck them on like badges. And so when I spun around, everyone was wearing all this Easter joy, and it was just really cool. Doesn't have to be complicated though. It can be as simple as something like writing and drawing on a heart and putting on a clothesline. It's a nice and simple way of doing a creative prayer together, individually, but then collaboratively as well. And that's a great way of actually doing a prayer as well. Food and hospitality, our as Messy Church, as I said, at Easter is on the morning of Good Friday. So we just serve hot cross buns. But that's great morning tea and it's well received by everybody there. But Strands on their website actually have a story that goes with a Palm Sunday. So they use biscuits for the road, ice cream for the donkey, tiny teas for Jesus, and green jelly for palms. And there's actually a longer story that goes with it that you can actually tell when you assemble the Palm Sundays. But it's a great way of actually involving food and hospitality if your Easter is at a different time of the Easter period. Just lots and lots of resources are available. You are not by yourself. BRF have put out some great resources. Messy Easter is a fantastic one with different ideas in. Messy Cooks, if you don't know what to cook or where to start or even things to start to think about, that one's a great one to have a look at as well. And Carol's also mentioned the Messy Togetherness one. The Family Easter Time, that is a little devotion book that you can actually purchase to give to your families. Postage is probably too late now to get it for this year, but Carol has that in the Messy Church Library. So if you're wanting to have a look to see if you want to purchase that, she has some available that you can borrow. Any books, Messy Church-wise, that you are interested in having a look at, Carol runs the Messy Church Library for New Zealand. You just need to drop her a line and she's able to send them out to you. Also just heard that the book library is going to be listed on our website shortly. Not just yet, give us a week or so, and it should be up there, so you can check that out as well.
Yeah, I've just sent the list through today, so it'll take a wee bit of time for our web guy to get it up and going.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
another thing that Adrian, our webmaster, has done today is he's put a link on our Messy Church New Zealand website for the Get Messy, how to order the Get Messy. So it will take you through to the UK website so you can order there. This particular Get Messy 12-month one finishes in August. Finishes August. And then there'll be a new one out. But you can, it's still worth having, still worth getting it because it becomes a resource that you keep referring to over and over again.
And they're really good sessions. I mean, I can't say that enough times. They're easy to pick up and go with so many Messy churches with less volunteers, having to keep it simple, running out of ideas or anything of the things that we've heard that some are struggling with. It's a really great one just to refresh you, get some good stuff and things to think about as well. All right, a couple of admin things. Our Messy Church website is being updated, as you've heard, and we're trying to get things on there that are helpful for you. If there is something that is helpful and it's not there, let us know so that we can actually get it up there so that everyone else can use it as well. And just a quick reminder about the logo use, make sure you're using this one. If you want to go to the BRF website, just Google Messy Church logo and it will take you straight to the logo use. So we've got some things about how you use it. So it's a good idea to just refresh that occasionally, just to make sure that we're using the trademark stuff properly. And got to finish with this because this is exciting. Around about 70 sleeps, I think I said. Got to start counting down now. Anyone else want to chip in on what this is?
Well, you've heard from me already, but some people joined afterwards. Did everyone who's on now hear the advertising earlier for Monday? Rosie, you all heard it? Oh, cool. That's good. Maybe I was too busy talking. I didn't notice you come on. But please pencil this into your diaries. It will be so good and you will feel refreshed and inspired, I'm sure, if you can come along to these Messy Church trainings across the Motu. You can register online, as it says, messychurch.nz. Go to the training in the bar and you'll be able to follow the process there. sooner you register, the sooner we will know, have an idea of how many people are coming and what's going on. So that will be great. And there's an option for registering just for the day training, or you can register for the day training and a catered meal. So there's two options there. And for Wellington, there's the option of booking in for accommodation too, which I highly recommend. But can I just also, something else that came to mind, which you can just put in the back of your mind for now, but when Carol was talking about going to the Messy Church International Conference in 2016, and you saw the pictures of that, and you know, we are part of a global Messy Church network, a global family, which is just awesome, and we learn so much from each other. And I know Carol keeps talking about her experience there. Alex and I were fortunate enough to go in 2019 to the UK to Messy Church International Conference. There was one a couple of years ago which we missed out on, a lot of us missed out on, because travelling from New Zealand to the UK wasn't possible. But there is going to be another Messy Church International Conference in the UK next year. I think it's May next year. I'm pretty sure it's May.
Yes.
And we would love to see some new people go to the UK, to the international conference, especially if you have a passion for sort of feeding back to our New Zealand Messy churches and being a sort of a Messy church encourager across the motu. So please keep that in mind. If you're going to the UK, happen to be going anyway in May next year, let us know. There's only, I think, 6 places available per country, but yeah, we would love to have New Zealand representatives there. I think that's all I need to say.
Could I say a word about the two guests? Dave Gregory is a bona fide scientist, and he was also the president of the Baptist Union in the UK. It's a position I only hold for a year, but it really looks good on your CV. But he has a lot of credibility as a church leader and as a scientist. He wrote a resource for Messy Church called Messy Church Does Science, which we use. And he's a very engaging, humble kind of guy. He's produced a video series called, what was it? God in All Creation. And it's on the Baptist website, and you can access that through Facebook, through Messy Church Facebook. Ollie.
Messy Church New Zealand, I posted it this afternoon.
Okay, right, great. And it's a series, I think, of 4 currently. He's a kind of David Attenborough kind of presentation of the wonders of creation. So it's really good. Greg Ross is a pastor in the Uniting Church, Western Australia, but he's also on the national team for Australia for Messy Church, particularly Western Australia. And he's a great musician. He can just sit at the piano and play anything you like. So, and he's got a wonderful voice for singing. So,
but he's also a great theologian, getting his theology talk, you know, easy to hear, easy to understand, puts it in an easy language to make sense of. He's really good at that.
Both these guys are strong theologians, but they're also very gifted in other areas as well. So we're looking forward to having time with them and introducing them to lots of Kiwis.
In our training for the year, we have also, look at this, worked out the dates for the rest of the year. So we're not doing a Messy Masterclass in the second term. That's the road show. So road trips, you're going to have to come and find us for that. But we have worked out for term 3 and for term 4, which is 6th of August and 22nd of October. So stick them on your calendars now. And if there is anything you would actually like us to cover, we'd love to hear it, because we want these to be relevant to what you guys are wondering about, what your teams need. So please, please let us know if there is something that is a burning question right now, so that we can cover that as well. So that is our Messy Masterclass for today. I am just going to say goodbye to the people that are on our recording, and I'm going to turn that off so then we can share some questions.